Sean's Fine Show. Sean's Fine Show. Digging deep and making dough. From thrift store gold to eBay flips, he teach buying Tims and killer tips. Buyer, sellers, wheel and deal. Real stories, keep it real. Snack a bargain, flip it fast. Sean's Fine Show.
Today, Ruth.
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me, Sean. I appreciate it.
Well, I like to talk to different resellers from all different backgrounds because we're all at different stages. We all have different goals, and everybody does this for a reason.
Yep.
So, why are you reselling, and where do you resell?
I resell out of Minnesota, and occasionally I'm in California reselling because my partner's retired, and sometimes I follow him to California and I do some whatnot shows out of California. But most of the time I'm here in Minnesota. And why I'm reselling is I kind of started over in my life about 10 years ago. And for the first time in my life, I was going to have to support myself financially. I was always the second income of my household, and all of a sudden I found myself. So I went through a series of things and then finally found reselling about 4 or 5 years ago online. I had been reselling in my backyard and doing some vending and stuff like that, but I found online about 4 or 5 years ago, and it totally changed everything for me. So,
Was there like a specific content creator, or what brought it to your attention that selling online was a possibility and something you could do? And
well, at the time I was creating, I was furniture repurposing and creating a few items. So while I was doing that, I started listening to YouTube. I hadn't really listened to much YouTube before that. So I started listening to YouTube, and I think the very first content creator that I stumbled upon was Scott, the Cha-Ching King. I never know if I'm saying his name right. But just a great guy and a great seller and a great teacher. And I think he was a teacher before he was a reseller. So his videos were great. And I listened to Paul, the Philly Flipper, and Kevin, the Commonwealth Picker. And then Kayla the homeschool picker was really, she was a big part of why her story was very similar to mine. She had started reselling when her husband broke her leg and she had to pay bills. And her hardships were very similar to mine, except she was way younger than me. And so I started watching these videos, and then one day Scott the Cha-Ching King, put out one basic video about how to start, what to do, and how to start right in your own house by picking 50 items. And I just thought, the light bulb just kind of went on for me. And I just thought, I wonder if I can do this. I had a lot of questions. I wonder if I'm too old was the first one. And I wonder if I'm too old to learn. And I wonder if I can really get onto this. Because I was tired of vending. I was putting on a lot of miles, running around, schlepping furniture. I mean, I just was getting too old for what I was doing. So when I watched that video, I just decided right then and there, I ordered a scale, and my beginnings were meager, very meager. I set up a chair in the dining room. My internet was terrible, so it took a long time to list an item. And I put a white tablecloth over the chair so I'd have a white background, and I started listing. And it just kind of, a week later, I got my first big sale, and it was a big sale. I had listed a lot of items, but the first sale I got was $100.
And big first sale.
I was like, I guess I was flabbergasted. I just couldn't believe it. Couldn't believe it. And of course, in the beginning, let's see, how is it in eBay when you're kind of on a probation, aren't you? I can't remember how long it took me to get paid. I think it takes when that package gets there. Once the package gets there, then you get paid. I think that's how it works. It's long enough ago now that I can't remember.
I think they change it all the time too. Because back then it was probably the PayPal days. So Back
Yeah,
when it
I
was
guess.
PayPal, they had their own rules about when they released your money, and now eBay cut out PayPal, so I'm sure they've changed the rules since then.
Yeah.
I don't know what they currently are. I know you have to wait.
Yeah. So it was very exciting. I happened to have my phone turned on that day, so I actually heard the sale. And at first it was like, I didn't know what that noise was. I'm like, what was that? And then went to look at my phone and I realized it was a sale. And um it's just kind of been a long series now of some ups, some downs, and it just has grown. I've just been very consistent in building it. I'm not a huge seller, but I wouldn't consider myself a small seller. I've probably sold 20,000 items.
It's pretty decent.
So, and then I started, then I started Whatnot a little bit while later. But for the first 2 years, I was eBay only. So,
So
and then it was, say that again.
what platforms are you selling on now?
Now I sell on eBay, Etsy, Poshmark, and Whatnot, and sometimes Facebook Marketplace. If I find something right now, I've got a big bird cage for sale on Marketplace. You can't ship a bird cage; it's about
No.
6 feet tall. So, once in a while, if I find a great deal that I know I can turn, I'll use Facebook Marketplace. I'm not crazy about Facebook Marketplace, but it does the job. I've sold a lot on there. So
Do you remember what that first sale was back when when you got your very first eBay sale?
I do. It was something my aunt had given me. Um, she was very wealthy and she had these place card holders. They were from Germany and they were little silver elephants and they had never been used. They were still in the box. They were about this big. There were 6 of them. And I don't remember the brand. I remember learning how to comp. You had to learn how to comp right away. Otherwise, you didn't know where to even begin. So I learned that on YouTube. Honestly, everything I learned on YouTube. So I learned how to comp everything and I listed them. And those little 6 elephants were worth, I think I took an offer, if I remember right. I don't remember. It's a long time ago, Sean. So I just remember being hooked. It was like I was so hooked immediately.
Well, it sounded like you started off the right way, where you started learning on YouTube and figuring out the processes and the steps. And sounds like you started listing stuff around your house instead of going out and putting money into inventory right away just to kind of learn the ropes, which I think anybody that does content creation kind of recommends
Yeah.
any new seller do.
I had a lot of inventory anyway because I was vending in stores. So I had inventory sitting around because you don't want to keep the same thing in your store
Mhm.
all the time. So you always have this stash of stuff that maybe you circled out of the store to maybe put in a year from now. So product has never been, the lack of product has never been my problem. More so, too much product is more my problem. So,
So were you in like vendor malls before with a booth or a couple of booths, it sounds like? Do you still do
yep.
that?
Nope, I don't. I quit as soon as my online really took off and got up to well, it didn't take long for my online income to exceed. I had a daily, let's see, I thought if I could do $100 a week, I think that was my first goal, was $100 a week. And now I can't even imagine because boy, if I only sold $100 a week now, I'd be sorely disappointed.
Yeah.
Um, but, um, but that was when my income replaced what I was doing in the vendors and I wasn't doing any running around. I was at home here every day with my partner. So he was happy about that. We were done schlepping furniture. That was kind of major for us. And so as soon as that income threshold got up there, then I pulled out of the stores. I gave it my notice and pulled out. So that was a happy day for me.
So how are you? You said that inventory isn't a issue for you because you always have more inventory than. How are you sourcing inventory?
Well, I'm very blessed. We have I mean, for living in a small town, we have the most amazing thrift store here. They've got ridiculously low prices, and she might even hear me say that, but she knows it. She wants her inventory to come and go, and it does. And it is a little gold mine for me. I mean, this week I just sold something for $355 that I bought for $1, Sean.
Wow. What was that?
It was a 1920s Japanese lampshade, porcelain lampshade that goes up on the ceiling, and it had two beautiful little songbirds on it. And I knew when I picked it up that it was a good thing, but I didn't realize till I got it home what a good thing was. And and just like always, I listed it and showed my partner, and he's like, "What? You're listing that for that? Oh gosh, you'll never get that. You'll never get that." Well, this week I got that, and I think it's been listed about 5 months.
That sounds like my wife. She'll see me pick something up and she's like, "Who's gonna buy that?" And I'm like, "Haven't you learned by now just to trust trust me,
I know. I can't. If I had $1 for every time I've said that to my partner, Pete, because I'll show him. I'll show him. I just listed this plush for $75, and he's like, "What? Really? You think you're going to get that?" And I'm like, "How many times do I got to tell you that I sort of know what I'm doing?" So, it's just been a really exciting journey.
So I've seen pictures of inside your garage and you got a big pile of stuff. Is that all coming from that one thrift store?
I do shop on high bid sometimes.
Okay.
And in the summertime, I live in a winter state. Obviously, I live in Minnesota. So part of the reason my shop is so bad right now is because we thrift like crazy from June 1st until September 1st. And it gets overwhelming. I bring a truckload in sometimes every weekend, and I can't keep up, but that sustains me through the long cold
Okay.
months. And right now, I've just had a lot of load with family doctoring and stuff like that. So my shop is just pitiful right now. But I know that there's money in every pile. It's just a matter of there's only 16 hours in the day that I can actually be getting something done, because I definitely need rest at my age. I got to get good sleep, and I can't push myself too much or I just burn out really quickly. So I just let my piles be. I pick I list as much as I can, take care of my mom. I had to run her to vote tonight and run my partner to the doctor and run myself to the doctor, and I don't put big pressures on myself for listing. I just try to consistently list big dollar values. I don't go by items. I go by, um, in fact, right now I'm in the process of I don't put anything on eBay or any of my platforms that I can't make 45 or more on. If it's $45 or less, unless it has a terrific sell-through rate, if it has a really good sell-through rate, then I might list it for $35. But otherwise, everything that's below $45 goes on Whatnot.
I'm
And
kind of similar. I list by dollar value every day. Now, I'm not as picky, like I'll do a little less than $45. I like to be in that $50 plus range as an
right,
average, but I also understand if I have the radiator cap for a 1999 Jeep Grand Cherokee and it's only $17, I have to put that on eBay
right.
because I'm not currently doing Whatnot, but I'm planning on doing Whatnot in the future. And you're not going to have anyone in your Whatnot show that's
No,
like, "Oh, I've
that's
been
right.
hoping somebody runs a 1999 Jeep Grand Cherokee
Yeah, exactly.
radiator
And you're
cap."
not going to sell it at a flea market either. It's just too
No.
specialized.
So eBay
Too
is a place for
specialized.
that. So it's either list that for $19.99 if it's in like a big pile I have, or throw it away.
Yeah.
So
Right.
I will break my rule and list a lower dollar
Right.
value over throwing it away because eBay is the only place to sell something
Yep.
like that.
Yeah.
So how do you like you won't list anything on eBay 45 or under and that goes to Whatnot? Is that your only deciding factor on what you put on Whatnot versus on eBay, or do you have any other deciding factors?
Sell through rate, because Whatnot, um, you can sell something on Whatnot very nicely, even if it has a zero sell through rate on eBay.
Mm-hmm.
So when I'm outsourcing, I don't get too hung up on sell through rate, because I have a pretty good following on Whatnot, and I know my people and I know what they like. And a lot of times I'm buying things that I know are already going to sell to Susan or Judy or whatever. I'm picking something up. Then I message them and I just say, hey, I picked this up. I think you're going to want it. And so I do a lot of that. And so sell through rate doesn't matter to me when I'm outsourcing.
Mm-hmm.
If it's a terrific sell-through rate and a great item, obviously it's going on the static platforms and not on and not on Whatnot, because you're just not going to make as much on Whatnot.
No.
So, so that's kind of my, and I don't really have a niche. So when I'm sourcing, I am just looking for, in my own world, I'm very known. How should I put this? In my own self, I know that I'm going to make money on everything because I don't ever buy high. Rarely
Mm-hmm.
do I really pay up for an item unless it's a really top dollar item and it has a terrific sell through rate. So, and I'm lucky because I live in a rural area. Our garage sales are terrific and my thrift store is terrific. So,
I kind of have the same strategy. I don't pay up. Me paying up is paying like 35, 40% of something. And that has to be something I know that's going to sell for a decent amount of money and
right.
sell really quick. But most of the time it's turning $5 into $40 or
Yeah.
$3 into $30 or something like that.
I
So
can't even tell you how many items I've found in my local. Nothing in that store is over $2. So, I mean, it's been a business builder for me there, and I spend a lot of money there, so I'm good for them too. And we have a lot of resellers in our town, so we there's probably 15 or 20 resellers going into that same thrift store. But most of us are looking for something different than the other. So we really don't compete against each other and we're very supportive of each other. So it's a treasure trove.
So, as someone who is looking to get into Whatnot in the future, does shippability factor in for you? Like, I'm not afraid to ship something big on eBay because I understand how the shipping works on eBay. The buyer's buying that one item and they're paying shipping on that one item. But something big and bulky on Whatnot, if they buy that and then they buy 7 other things in the show, how do you handle something like that?
Yeah. So it depends on what I'm selling. But I have discovered, first of all, let's just talk about the fact that Whatnot has gone to Ground Advantage now. Uh, on July, I forget if it was the 1st
I
or
think
the
it was August
31st. I
1st.
can't remember.
It was something
But
like
they
that,
went to
beginning of
Ground
August.
Advantage only. So, but I have learned on Whatnot, never sell anything over 18 inches long. You're just going to get killed on shipping because I always provide affordable shipping. The customer only pays the first $9.21 and I pay the rest. Now that's all good until I do a glass show. When I do
Yes.
a glass show, my minimum shipping, how can I explain this? I was starting to get burnt because some people would buy like 35, 40 items, which is
Mm-hmm.
great. But then I'd end up with having $100 shipping bill. So I'd have a $2,500 show and 200 of it would be shipping, and so then I raised my shipping for the people that were buying so many items. They're going to pay the first $25 now, $24.99.
Is that
They,
a setting you can set in there when you're starting the
yep,
show?
that's a setting you can. Now it doesn't affect anybody because I list everything at a pound. So
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't really affect those people that are only buying 4 or 5 items, even though their 4 or 5 items might be 12 pounds. I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to pay that extra shipping for them. But the people that are buying 40 items, they're at least going to help me with some shipping. So I've kind of tweaked that. But the moral of this story is on Whatnot, don't sell things over 18 inches. You'll just get killed on shipping because they have a lot of work to do on their shipping. It's not as seller friendly as it
Mm-hmm.
is on the other apps. But I learned that the hard way. So I try to keep everything in a 16 by 12 by 8. I do all my unbundles either in a 12 by 12 by 12 or a 16 by 12 by 8. Sometimes I build boxes out of 12 by 12 by 12s so that there's 16 by 12 by 12. But don't go over 18 inches. That's my best advice on shipping on Whatnot.
Now, do you do your shows themed? Like I popped in one of your shows once and you were doing all hats, and then you just talked about how you did an all glassware show. Do you keep them all themed so you wait till you have a bunch of something to do like a theme show? Or do you
Unless
ever have a catch-all show where it's just a bunch of random
I
stuff?
I do that. I do that in my shop. Like if I go out there some days I go out in my shop and I'm just like, oh, hell spells. Look at all this stuff. And I just put a pop-up on.
Mm-hmm.
And I just, on the pop-up thumbnail, it's like shop clean out, and I just start digging into piles. And I just tell my people, then they'll start requesting things. And I'll say, well, I can't really meet a request today because all we're doing, opening lids, taking things out. We don't know what we're going to find.
Yeah.
And some people like that. Some people don't. But usually I do pretty good. I call them my shop clean out pop-ups. And it's a way for me to clean and get rid of. And sometimes you have to just realize that if you aren't doing a theme show, you might not make as much money. But if you paid $1 and it's going out the door at 10 and you sell 100 items, then
Yeah. Who
I'm
cares?
happy.
Yeah.
It works.
Do
So
you Another holdback is, all right, do you film with your phone and then have it pulled up on a computer somewhere?
depends on where I'm at. If I'm out in the field filming, I use my 360. I have the 360 camera. It either clips on my hat or it's a magnet on a necklace.
No, I meant for Whatnot.
Oh, yes, I always film in my shop.
Do you run your show from your phone and film with the same thing, or do you have
Nope,
something set
nope.
up on
I
the side?
run my phone is what is my people are seeing me off my phone camera, and then I
Okay.
run my show off from my Mac.
Okay, so you have a laptop off to the side or something.
I can run my show off my phone, but it's a lot easier to run it off my computer.
Okay.
So I've got my computer right next to me, and my phone is my camera, and that's where I read my chat because I'm looking right at my phone. I'm not actually looking at the chat on my computer. So most of all of the interaction is done on my phone. It's just the logistics that are done on my computer.
Okay, that makes sense.
It's easier to see the solds. It's easier to see everything on your laptop. So, and it takes a little bit of getting used to, Sean, because there are a lot of people out there doing Whatnot shows. All they're doing is showing the item. The person the person on the other end of the room is pushing all the buttons,
Yeah.
So it takes some getting used to, but now I honestly don't know if I could run it with another person. I think that would really throw me off. If I actually had help, it would throw me off. So,
You mentioned in the Flip Side podcast that we all do together that sometimes you go do some of those like yard sales that are like interstate sales in like Florida and stuff like that.
mhm.
Do you have any of those planned for this year?
I was going to go to the Flea Cross Florida, but then my business just started to ramp up, and I'm just not willing to put my business on hold. I would have to drive. It's a long ways to go to the Flea across Florida. I really wanted to see all my friends that I met in Nashville 2 years ago, but I just decided that I needed to stay home and take care of my business. So, and I'm feeling kind of cheap these days. Sometimes it's like the more money you rake in, the less you want to put out. So I didn't really want to spend the money on this road trip. And so I decided to stay home. And I have such an overabundance of inventory that I just made the responsible decision to stay home.
That's how
So,
I am. For me to do one that's real far away, I have to put my store on vacation mode, and
yes,
then
it's very damaging.
I'm losing that money that because your sales are never the same on vacation mode as when
Right.
you're just in normal. Then when you come back from vacation, it always seems like it's 2 or 3 days before
Yeah.
it really
And
goes back to normal. It,
yes.
I just think the money I lose by shutting my store down, I wouldn't gain it by finding some magical inventory out there that I don't already have a shop full of inventory to list. So
The thing
I
about
just
it
can't
is,
justify it.
yeah, the thing that frustrates me is, okay, so when I first started this on eBay, they had an option to change your handling time to 30 days. Did you ever, were you selling on eBay yet when they still had that option? You could
I don't
change
know.
you could change it to 30 days, and that actually meant about 6 weeks because they meant only Monday through Friday.
Yes.
So you had like 6 weeks. You could go away. People could still buy, and you would rack up your sales. And then when you got home 6 weeks later, you could ship out your 80 items that you sold while you were gone. And as long as people were okay with that, and so that's what I first did when I started on
Hmm.
eBay. Well, now they won't let you do that.
You can put it on vacation mode where you can still receive sales,
Yes, but
but
only for
it
so
just
many
seems like
days.
your traffic is throttled when you're on vacation mode. The traffic never seems the same as when you're
No.
not on vacation mode.
And that makes sense, doesn't it? I mean, it does make sense that eBay would would favor the people that aren't on vacation, you know.
Yeah, and prioritize the people who are going to be able to ship out
That's right.
next day or in 2 days to keep their customer base happy.
That's right. So,
So how long have you been in the reselling game now?
you mean online? Cuz I've been
Online, yep.
online. I started in 19.
19.
So, it was just before COVID, and I was still vending, and I stayed vending for almost a year, but then vending got really tough during COVID.
Oh
And
yeah, I bet.
and then by the time we were able to, because it got really bad in Minnesota, let me tell you what, really everything got bad. It's never really recovered actually here in Minnesota because there's so much craziness here. And we won't get into that, but hopefully this will change some of
we
our
know
craziness.
we know your state has made the news a lot
Oh,
for some craziness, so
it's like when we drive out west, we would just want to cover up our license plate. We just don't really want anybody to know where we're from. So,
I was out
we live in a beautiful state, but lately it's pretty embarrassing. So,
I was out west and I was following a car that had California plates on it, and they were the same way. They they put a sign on the back of their car that said, "It's just a rental. We're not from California."
that's funny. I'd like to
So
have a sticker on the back of my truck that says, "Don't judge me because I'm from Minnesota. I'm not one of them." So,
in Indiana, we were shut down for a couple weeks, but we got back to like where everything was open with mask and all that stuff for
Yeah.
pretty quickly. And
Yeah. Well,
so,
reselling it as a vendor got really crazy then. It got very expensive because there were several months I didn't make my rent. And, people just didn't want to, they weren't in the mood. And that's when online really started ramping up. So I just kind of did a flip flop. I started the reselling online, and it really didn't take very long before my income had been where my online got up to where my vending was and then past it. And then I'm just like, well, this is a no-brainer. I just want to stay home and work, you know. And granted, we don't get to stay home all the time, but we get to stay home most of the time. Um so that was the switch over. I think I got out of vending in the spring of 21. But I've been a reseller junker
hmm.
since the early 2000s. So
You mentioned that earlier that your listing goal, you didn't do it by number of listings, you did it by a dollar amount. So what is your daily listing goal per se, and
I
how
don't
often do you hit your daily listing goal?
So when I first started, I went on the advice of Paul the Philly Flipper, and he did between 50 and 100 listings a day. And that's what I did too. But that's when I was listing bread and butters, what I called
Mm-hmm.
bread and butters. And now I don't list bread and butters. Bread and butters, that's a term that I use that just talks about all those
Yeah,
little items that you got
$10,
to sell.
$15 items.
You got
Yeah,
to sell a lot of them, and you're
yeah.
only getting bread and butter, So, but in the beginning, they talked about how you had to consistently list a lot, and I was trying to build my store up my goal was to build it up to 2,000 items. Um, then as I started getting busier and getting more sales, then I changed my listing goal, and then I switched to dollar amounts. But I'm going to be honest, some days I don't actually get a new listing up. If I have so little time, maybe I'm going to be in Minneapolis all day long doing doctoring stuff. Then I use my cross lister because there's always something on the nifty cross lister that I can, I probably have 250 listings that are on Etsy that aren't on eBay yet.
Oh, wow.
So then, or I've got maybe 400 on eBay that aren't on Poshmark yet. Or so I use that to go back and forth and make sure everybody gets
Yeah.
attention every day.
See,
But I don't really have a per se goal, because I have a lot of life responsibilities outside of my
Mhm.
business, and I'm semi-retired, I guess you might say. Um, so I just try not to stress myself over. Um, there will come a time when I'm going to hit those goals harder. So
See, I list everything on eBay first, and then I sync it in the Nifty, and then I cross list from there. How do you decide which items you're going to list on eBay versus which items you're going to list on Etsy if you're picking and choosing?
well, for one thing, Etsy has to be old or homemade.
Yes. Oh, yes, of course. Yes. So,
So, and I only list on the other platforms first if I have a lot of time because eBay is so fast.
yes. See,
So most everything gets listed on eBay first. But if it's a really sweet piece of vintage glass, I want it on Etsy first because that's where I'm going to get my best money. Um, you consistently get 15 to 20% less money on glass on eBay.
mhm. I always
So,
list on eBay first because it requires the most item specifics. So if once you've already listed it on eBay, there's nothing that's on your there's nothing the other platforms need that's not already on your eBay listing. So
right. That's right.
so when you list on eBay and sync it in the Nifty, is there some items like you won't put on Poshmark or you won't put on Depop, or do you just go all the way across? Like me personally, I sync it in the Nifty, and if it's eligible for that platform, I just go all the way across and put it on Poshmark, Depop.
I do
whatnot,
that for
Etsy.
most things. First of all, I
Okay.
haven't started Depop yet. I am considering starting Depop especially for plush. I know they have a lot more rules, so I don't really feel like
Yeah.
I can start until I really know those rules better. Because I don't want to screw myself right out of the gate.
Pretty much if it doesn't involve electricity, it'll go on there most of
Or
the time.
babies. Or babies.
Or baby stuff, yeah. They got
Yeah.
me on slot cars the other day. You know, the little cars that go on the tracks?
Oh,
And I'm like, they're not electrified till they actually go on the track, but what everyone collects is the cars. Most people don't even mess with selling the track. They sell the little cars because the cars can be pretty valuable. And they kicked those off right away. And I put them in the toy car section on there and they kicked them off in seconds. So,
oh, that's funny. See, those are things that I wouldn't know. You obviously didn't know.
no.
So I just think they're a lot more rule oriented there. So, and so is Etsy, but I fit right into Etsy because everything I see is vintage. I'm very honed in on vintage.
Mhm.
So Etsy is such an easy platform for me. Poshmark, I pretty much cross over everything on Poshmark too. I still,
Mhm.
I don't know how to get my Poshmark going though. It's so slow going. I don't know what I can do. I think I finally got back on because, I got banned on Poshmark last year, and I didn't even know I was banned until I tried to sell something on it. But I started Poshmark this past spring, and I think I've only had 4 sales on Poshmark. I just
Were
can't get it
you
going.
Are you using the automation tools on Nifty to do all your shares and followings and all that stuff?
Yep,
Because I
and I'm
know
sending out
Poshmark
offers.
really loves that,
Yeah,
all that activity. So
but I'm wondering if it is, do you promote on Poshmark? Because I'm
I
always getting these
personally don't.
messages. I'm always
They
getting these
probably have your
messages to
account
promote.
throttled because you were banned at one time.
Yeah,
Maybe they're
maybe.
not. Maybe they're slowly easing you into it to make sure you're not going to,
Yeah,
you know.
could be.
So
Could be. You never know.
no.
And that's okay. I mean, I I have a lot of irons in the fire right now, so it's okay that I'm not getting that many sales on Poshmark.
And I don't get a ton on Poshmark either. Me or you don't really sell Poshmark has a lot of categories, don't get me wrong, that you can sell a lot, but their primary focus is fashion and clothes and
Yes,
shoes, and we're not
purses.
selling in there
Right.
those categories. So the stuff we do sell sells occasionally, but we're never going to be like Top Gun Poshmark sellers because
That's
we're
right.
not selling clothes and stuff. So
Yeah.
in the same way, Depop, most of my sales on Depop are toys, but it sounds like you're only listing like $45 plus items.
Right.
Everything that I sell on Depop seems to be like back in the day, I was like you, I listed anything. If it was listable and shippable, I was listing it on eBay. So I have a bunch of low dollar listings from 3 or 4 years ago, and it's a bunch of my old low dollar toy listings that are selling on Depop. None of my
Oh,
higher dollar stuff ever sells on Depop. It's always like $10, $15 items. So
okay.
I'm not super sure how well your plush will do. Bob would know about Bob the Rocket City reseller would have a better
Yeah.
idea because he does sell plush. But if you're only
Yeah.
listing $45 plus plush,
Yeah.
I don't know how it will go. So
Yeah. Well,
it's
at
real
some
quick.
point in
It's only a
time,
couple clicks with Nifty. So
yeah, that's right. Nifty has changed so much. Nifty has changed so much. Now that I'm finally getting the hang of it I was having trouble at first because I didn't really know that every 90 days, the static platforms just disconnected from Nifty. So
mhm.
then I would sell something and I didn't realize it didn't get delisted and then it would sell again on another platform. So I got really lucky that I didn't get banned on a platform because I had to cancel items that I didn't have any
Yeah.
longer. And I took the coward's way out and blamed every time on my delister, even though it was really ultimately
Yeah.
my fault. Um,
What
but
is
now
nice
I've
about
kind of got a
Nifty
handle on that.
is when a platform does delist or something sells and it detects that it sold, but it couldn't delete it on the other platforms, they usually email you.
Yes, but I
You just got to
wasn't
make sure.
watching my emails. I wasn't watching my emails. I just now I've gotten very aware of my emails. For many different reasons. So, I mean, now I'm getting podcast invites on the emails. I have a lot more reasons to look at email now.
Yeah.
So,
I used to use List Perfectly, which is kind of like Nifty, but not as good. And
yeah,
it would miss delisting stuff all the time. But List
yep,
Perfectly did. They may now, I don't know now. But back when I had it, they didn't send you an email. You just found out the hard way because
right,
there was no indicators. Like there's all sorts of ways to set your Nifty up. You're either going to email or you can check for the different faults in there. You can filter by faults, and you
right.
couldn't do any of that on List Perfectly. And
Yeah.
I
Well,
had
we
some,
started off with Vendu, but they weren't as good either. And they maybe
yeah,
have improved now. I can't say to what they are now, but once, you know, Rocket City Bob was such a mentor to me and such a help until I really got going on ChatGPT. Poor Bob, he got a couple phone calls a week from me
yeah.
just trying to figure things out. And so when he got me going on Nifty, that was a game changer. The automation is otherwise I'd spend probably an hour to two a day sending offers and
Hmm.
just all that kind of stuff. And now you just don't have to do any of that.
A store my
So
size, I wasn't going in there pre Nifty and doing like on eBay, delisting old listings and relisting them,
right.
which helps the algorithm on eBay for the people watching that that don't know this. But with Nifty doing that in the background, it does that for me in the background as well. It's almost like having a part-time employee coming in for an hour or two a day,
That's right.
doing those on eBay for me, doing this sharing on Poshmark and the following on Poshmark that Poshmark's algorithm likes. It does my delist and relist and my offers on Mercari. It does the same thing for me on Depop. Like that was
Yeah,
something I would probably never do personally because I just don't have the time during the day to
right.
sit down
Exactly.
and do those things. So,
And I do think, and I love the feature where you can decide, because I really don't want to send a 10% offer on something that I have listed for $45.
mhm.
I mean, or I like that option where you can decide what the dollar amount of items
Mhm.
that you'll send the offer on. I really like that option. And I agree, it's like having an employee. That's how I feel about chat too. I
Yeah.
mean, chat for me is like having my own 25-year-old here in my house teaching me everything I don't know. It's
Yeah.
just, you know, it's become almost impossible for me to move forward without chat. So, um,
I catch myself using that, or even when you Google something, the first results now when you Google something are Google's AI's answers at the top, and then you can ask a follow up questions, and I catch myself using that quite a bit too, just to
yeah, yep.
walk me through something.
Yeah, we're getting so much has changed. I mean, sometimes when you listen to people like Scott, the Cha-Ching King, he or a couple other sellers when they started on eBay, they had to wait for the check to come in the mail.
Hmm.
So much has changed. We're such spoiled resellers now.
No, like especially with Nifty, like there used to be people that bought special software just for background removal tools. If
Yes.
background removal tools are something you want, it's built in the Nifty. Like
Yeah.
it's all there in one thing for you. So
Yeah.
it just makes life easier.
It's crazy. Pretty soon, chat there. I was listening to a video the other day about how chat will soon be able to make you an AI video with yourself. Just, I mean, I can't put it into terminology, but just listening to that video, I thought that's just crazy. It's a little crazy. So,
Speaking of videos, you recently started dipping your toes into social media. So after these, you had a life before reselling where I'm assuming you did another career in the past and then
oh,
you kind of
many.
retired from that. Yeah. And now you're in the reselling and you resold for a few years now. What made you decide to start dipping your toes and doing some social media?
Well, a big part of it was my colleagues who, let's just face it, most of my colleagues are at least 20 years younger than me. And when I started getting asked on podcasts and it just, okay, so when I went on the launch pad, the second time I went on the launch pad, I'm trying to get this straight because I went on We Don't Give a Flip a couple times, and then I went on the launch pad, and for some crazy, crazy, crazy reason, one of the shorts that Bob cut out of that went viral. I don't know what it's at now, but I know it went viral like within 2 weeks. It was up over 1 million views, and Bob just said, you have to start content. You have to get into the content game. And he said, I just think that you should give it a try. And, I got to thank Bob for a lot of things because he's been such a cheerleader, and he's a natural
Mhm.
born cheerleader. He's very caring of people, and he just wants people to succeed. That's his
Yes.
underlying. It's not about, oh, look at me, I'm Bob. He wants you to succeed. He wants me to succeed. And
Absolutely.
so I just decided that I was going to listen to him. So I started trying to learn it all. And, it's funny you would bring that up because I just dropped my first long form video today
On YouTube,
on
right?
YouTube. And I'm super excited about that. I've done a few shorts and done well at the shorts. And now I just dropped my first long form, and I'm pretty excited to see what that does in the first month. So now I've got to start writing my second one because I'm committed to one a week. One
Yeah.
a week. So,
I feel like content creation isn't necessary if you're just going to be a reseller, but I feel like if you're going to be on Whatnot, you have to put yourself out there and promote
yep,
your shows because when you will log into the Whatnot app on any given time, I don't know how many shows are running at once, but there's hundreds of shows running at once.
right,
So you got to figure out a way to drive people to click on your show because if nobody's in your show, you're not selling anything.
right.
And a lot of the
Or you're selling
biggest,
things for nothing.
yes, you're you're eating crow for their first several shows. So you get
That's right,
people that, and a lot of the largest Whatnot sellers have a big social media following, and
right.
they're able to channel that social media following into their Whatnot. So I feel like it's almost a must if you're going to do Whatnot to
Yeah,
at least attempt to have some kind of outside advertising to drive
yeah.
people into your Whatnot shows.
I tell you, the other reason I've started is because I'm quite a ways ahead of most of you, and um, I really, if I maintain my health the way it is now, I'm probably younger than my age as far as my health goes. And I really would love to be a reseller for another, 10 years at least. But there will come a time when I just don't want to push myself the way I do now. I mean, in July, I nearly pushed myself, into I forget how, I think I sold 1,000 items in July. And it was the biggest month I've ever had, but I can't do that all the time. And every year I get older, I'm going to be able to do that less. So part of the reason I'm starting content is I really want a different avenue of something to do for a living and
Mm-hmm.
for just something to do. I'm a doer. I'm not a person that loves to sit in a chair and read a book for 3 days. I'm just not that person. So
Same.
so content creation to me feels like a future. It feels like something that I can do for women in the future, especially. I would like to build my channel that way where I'm helping women to not feel like they can't start over and what they're going to be facing if they are starting over and that they're not alone. And so part of the reason I'm starting is just so that I can have a future community when I'm too old to handle the pressures of reselling because it is hard work. People think we just go out and buy things and we sell them, and it's just so simple. But
Mhm.
it's a lot of hard
No.
work.
People see
So,
my stacks on Facebook and Instagram, and I get DMs. I get dozens of DMs a day and asking why they're not doing it. And first thing I ask, how many listings do you have? How many are you listing a day? And it's always something really small and they're not putting in the hours. And then I explain,
right,
I treat this like a full-time job. I work at least 8 hours a day. And then
at least.
most weekends, I at least do a couple hours a day, you know? So like, I'm putting 50 hours a weekend to put the numbers that I'm showing on social media. So it takes
Yeah.
more than an hour or two a day or whatever they're putting in. And
You
so
know,
you
even
just,
even me being a smaller seller, I take one day off a week. I take Sunday off.
Mhm.
I love my church and I love my people at church, and I want to try to be spend a nice day with my partner Pete, and sometimes I need to be with my parents, and I have a new grandbaby coming, and there's just all
Congrats.
these things, and I really need a downtime. But otherwise, I'm probably working 6, 10 hour days most weeks. And but I work right here at home. I I step down from the kitchen and I'm at work. So it just makes it so much easier to put in a day. And for anybody out there that thinks that it's anything different, then that's partly why they're not making it yet.
I tell my wife on Sundays if she wants to do something, I'll give her the entire Sunday off. I won't do a thing. But if she doesn't want to do anything, I go to the shop and work at least. Usually, though, when on Sundays, like I'll get up at like 6:37 and I'll go in the shop and work till like 10:30, 11. Come
Yeah,
home and we'll eat lunch together, and then we'll go do something that afternoon. Is
yeah.
how most of my Sundays go. So
But you're probably, I'm just going to guess, I don't know how old you are, but I bet you're 15 years younger than me for sure. And when you I'm going to be 62 years old tomorrow,
yeah,
and I can't work this year. I can't work like I could last year. So
yeah.
I can feel each year on me, and I just want to be able to do it for a long time. So I try to take those days to recharge. And I've learned the hard way that if I push myself, Bob can tell you that too, that there's been a couple crash and burns for me where I dang near quit. Dang near quit. I was so tired, so run down, and that was before things were really rolling. Now I feel like I can sit back a little bit and just watch my business do what it does. It's kind of an oiled machine now. So as long as I'm pretty consistent with listing, it just kind of, you know, but a year ago I couldn't do that. I had to really push it. So people just need to stay with it. They just need to stay with it and watch more YouTube, guys. Watch more YouTube about what it actually takes.
I'll be 40 in October, by the way. So
Okay, so you are,
20,
oh
it'll
my
be
gosh,
22
you're
years younger.
22 years younger than me.
So
Oh my goodness. So, and that's the way it is for me in this business.
mhm,
I can only think of one friend in this business. That's Brian. Brian Jack's Treasures. He's the only guy that's my age. Everybody else is very young, and I'm grateful for that actually,
uh,
because my colleagues are very good teachers and they're very patient with me. I mean, they love me like their Aunt Ruth Ann, and they're very patient to take care of me and help me.
I
So,
follow a couple older guys on Facebook. There's a Junk Monkey Treasures. He's an older guy.
oh yeah,
Uh,
I'm going to be hosting that podcast
yeah,
for Rocket City.
he, he's probably in your age range, I would
Yep.
imagine. He's so there's a
I'm
couple of them
excited
I
for that
follow.
podcast. I'm excited for that because we're both into vintage glass. So,
Yeah, I follow him on Facebook, and he's always out there looking for glass and stuff.
yeah.
So you talked about your social media goals. What are your reselling goals?
I would like to get to six figures, and I think that's still possible this year. Um, but I have a lot of ifs in my life. My current life partner is 19 years older than me. So We have some challenges with that, with his aging process. And I have 2 aging parents that live in separate houses, and I'm the only sibling that is here to take care of my parents. So some people have little kids, but I take care of quite a few people as far as trying to keep them healthy. And so I never know. My mom might end up in the hospital this week, and I might not get to list for a week. Then I got to rely on my cross lister. So, but I'm pushing for 6 figures this year, and and that's gross, obviously, for anybody who's listening.
Yeah.
I probably won't clear 6 figures, but I would sure love to have gross sales hit the 6 figures this year. And I think it's totally possible,
Well, we have
especially
the
with this big
biggest.
pick, especially because of this big pick. This big pick that I got in the spring, for anybody that doesn't know, I picked a $4,500 vintage lot of glass that I figure is about $80,000 in sales. So it was the pick of a lifetime for me. And if I can get all those swans and vases and vintage art glass out the door by the end of the year, I know I will definitely get over 6 figures.
Do you have it listed?
I have about 100 of them listed. I've sold about 500 of them on Whatnot. This week, I'm taking 50 of them to a high bid auction to experiment what happens. If that goes well, that might be where the rest of them go. I keep the smaller ones for Whatnot. I list the very high dollar ones, the $175. The ones that are Murano from Italy and other countries, I list on the platforms, the static platforms. And then the ginormous big ones, I'm going to test out high bid and see how much I can get for them. If that goes really well, I'm going to take 50 more in a couple weeks. And I'm just going to keep pecking away because I got about 900 of them left.
Did you find a good auction house that does a lot of vintage?
Yeah,
So they have a big vintage base
following. They've got a big glass following, and I've watched a lot of their auctions. I buy on their auctions a lot, and we have a good rapport. And they've got it is pretty high commissions. It's 30% on the first 500, 15% when you get to 500. Between 500 and 1,000 is 15%, and then once you crest $1,000, there's no commission.
That's actually really reasonable, to be honest.
So my goal is, if they go really well this time, then next time I'll put 100 of them on, because then I can get past those thresholds pretty easily. And I only paid $3.50 a piece.
That's very reasonable. I told you once how I used to do high bid and sell in high bid.
So you did your own high bid auctions, you mean?
Yes, I did.
Is that hard to learn?
The state shut me down. Huh?
Is that hard to learn?
Well, I don't know about your state. My state requires an auctioneer's license to auction off other people's stuff.
Oh, okay.
And
knowing my state, it probably does too.
Most states it is, from just Googling around. Most states do. But I buy from all my local auction houses, so I know most of them on a first name basis. And when I was doing pickups, I would go pick up and I'm like, hey, I got some stuff to sell. What do you guys charge? And I kind of got everyone's price. And I set my price at 30%. And I was below everybody in my 50-mile radius. So sounds like 30%. And then they lower it as you go. Seems really reasonable. So
yep. I'm pretty happy with it.
I think that's a very fair price.
And I'm pretty happy with it. And the thing of it is, Sean, selling it on my own on Whatnot, oh my gosh, it's a killer. If I sell 150 items, it's going to take me 3 days to get them shipped. And then, like the last time I had a Whatnot show, I had 3 out of the 138 items, I had 3 break. So at the auction house, people got to come get them. All I got to do is drop them off and I'm done.
It's a great idea.
It's just and because I have so little into them, $3.50 a piece is what I figured I paid per piece. And I've already well made over what I paid for them. So everything I get now is just gain. And I think it's more important to get them out of my life as quickly as I can. And so that's the goal this year, to try to get over $100,000, is because I got that big pick. So
Oh, yeah. Well, you should record yourself packing it all up, taking it to the auction house, documenting how all your stuff did in your return, and then you got yourself another long form video for YouTube for
that's a
in
good
the future.
idea. I need to
I
get
think people
more
would
in
find
that.
that interesting.
I need to get that more in my mindset, Sean. Content creation is a habit. It's a habit that you
Yeah,
have to get in you. And I forget about that. I go about my days and I'm like, crap,
that's why
I should have videoed that,
there's
you
some of
know?
these big Facebook accounts that seem like they steal a lot of content and share it. They don't say it's their own, but they don't give anyone credit. And I'm like, why are you stealing content? If you're doing resale stuff every day for a living, you got a million opportunities every single day that you're doing something. You can just document it and put your own stuff on. So that's why
That's right.
I catch myself biting my tongue and not calling out some of these Facebook pages that post so much stolen
That's what I
content
love. That's what I love about you,
because we do
Sean.
it all day long. Like you, you probably sell several pieces a day. All you have to do is share one of them, or show yourself packing it, or showing yourself
Yep.
listing something, or sharing you're buying it, or dropping that stuff. People would love to see you dropping 50 pieces of glass off and then seeing your return after you're running it through the auction. People
Yeah.
would find that interesting. So
Like last night, I was so mad at myself, because this is why I say that content creation needs to become a habit. Because yesterday I sold that $1 item for $355, and it went to Australia. Okay. It was
yeah,
the perfect video,
yeah,
and I didn't film it.
hmm
And now it's
yeah,
gone. It's on its way to Australia, and it's too late, And so I really need to wrap my head around that and just get more in tune to what I'm doing
hmm
instead of just doing it.
yeah. You could have made your a little short saying, "Hey, I just sold this." Put a little thing of what you sold it for, and then showed yourself packing it out and sending it out the door, and people would have watched it.
Yeah. Well, I spent most of the day today learning how to use CapCut.
Yeah,
So now that I kind of know how to use CapCut, I think I could, I don't know. I haven't put one video with another video yet.
it's
Um,
pretty easy. You just click the add button. There's a little plus sign, and
yeah.
then it'll pop up your videos, and you just add a second video to it, and
And then they
just
just all run together.
yeah.
Yeah. Well,
hmm
see, these are all things I got to learn, and I'm going to get good at it. I'm
Oh,
going
I
to
had
get
to
good
learn
at
it
it.
too. I just started content creation in November,
Yeah.
so I had to learn the hard way too. I couldn't figure out how to put captions on my videos forever, or how to change the color of the font. It took me forever to figure it all out.
Yeah.
But so because I
Well, how,
I haven't
so
even been doing it for a year yet.
how long did it take you to get monetized then?
On Facebook, I started posting in November, and I think I got monetized at the end of January on Facebook, because Facebook's the easiest one to get monetized on.
Oh, really? I didn't
So
know that.
yeah, there's no magic numbers, or they don't tell you. They just you get an email one day saying, "Hey, you're monetized."
Okay.
So I'd be sharing all your stuff that you post on Facebook too. It's
Yeah.
you might as
I
well.
keep getting these badge
Yeah,
things. This is what you
yeah,
did this month. Keep it going, that
yeah,
kind of stuff.
yeah. I just keep posting on Facebook, and it'll eventually happen for you.
Yeah. That's the hope.
Well,
That's the hope that I can that I can go into my old ladyship with a
yeah.
with a YouTube channel.
hmm
So,
Well, I wish you luck. I appreciate you doing this, and we're going into quarter four, so hopefully you smash through that six-figure goal in the quarter
yep.
four.
And you too will be watching your goal, Sean.
Yep.
I watch you all the time. I'm very impressed with you, and you've inspired me a lot this year so far since
Well,
I got to know you. So I really appreciate you.
it's my goal is to get people fired up and want to make money reselling. So,
Yep.
well,
All right.
thanks again for doing this. And right before you want to tell everyone where they can find you?
Yep. You can find me on YouTube, freshly on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, eBay, Etsy, Poshmark, and whatnot.
Thanks again, Ruth.
Yep. Thank you. Good night.
Sean's Fine Show. Sean's Fine Show. Digging deep and making dough. From thrift store gold to eBay flips, he teaches fire Tims and killer tips. Buy or sell us, wheel and deal. Real stories, keep it real. Snag a bargain, flip it fast. Sean's Fine Show.